It is yet another exciting episode of Wholesome Woman, where we host amazing women who are doing amazing things in the society. And I'll be your host, Vanessa Mishere. Now today I am in one of the most beautiful places in Kenya, and I must say that the place is Jangwani. And if you look behind me, you can see a waterfall. But guess what? This place has 5 waterfalls. So if you want to visit, come to Kirinyaga County. Now, my guest for today, my wholesome woman for today is Catherine Mwangi, and she is one amazing lady. She is the chair for Anglican Development Society, and she is a family woman, and today she'll tell us how she juggles career, family, and leadership. So keep it wholesome. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Vanessa.
Welcome to Wholesome Woman.
Thank you.
You know why I think you're wholesome? Actually, I think you're just a superwoman because you do all these things. But first, I want us to talk about your family. Where did you grow up?
Wow, thank you, Vanessa. And my name is Catherine Mwangi. I grew up as a young girl from a village called Mutige in Kirima location in Kirinyaga County. I was brought up from a humble background in a family of 8, actually 7 now. And we grew up just like any other rural girl. I attended Gatugora Primary School. Gatugora Primary School. Then I scored myself some good grades. Those days, 32 points, which I made it to Karoti Girls High School.
You know, I am also an alumni of Karoti Girls.
Welcome on board.
Yes, and I hope there's some wholesome woman from Karoti Girls who's watching, right?
And by the way, we are welcoming all the Karoti alumni in the club. I am the chair of the board.
Yes, you are telling me there's a Karoti Girls
Alumni club.
How do I get in touch?
You are most welcome.
How do
We have 3 or 4 administrators, and we just welcome you in. It's a WhatsApp group. We have all types of communication. But for the first time, I will admit you in the club. You're most welcome.
So if anyone wants to join the club, hit us up.
So long as you are a member of Karoti Girls, you're most welcome.
Okay, we digress.
Yes.
You are from Gatogora, basically from a village life.
Yes.
And you're telling me that you had a humble background.
Yes.
Tell me about your family.
Yes. I love my mother, and my mother is a big mentor in my life, because my mother taught us literally everything. We used to milk in the morning or take milk to the people who used to buy milk from us, the teachers from Mutige Secondary, the parish priest.
How many were you? How many kids?
We were 8, but we lost a sister on the way, so right now we are 7.
Wow.
Yes.
So your mother single-handedly raised 8 kids.
She was not single by then, although my father left us while we were still young, while we were still in school.
He passed
so we
on.
know he passed on. He got sick and through some cancer, and we lost him. Although those days we didn't know it was cancer. We just thought the old man got sick and died. And he passed on and he went to be the Lord. One thing we learned from him is that he loved God, and he taught us to love God. And if there is a virtue we carried over from our father, is being taught to love God, sincerely, just to know God and to love him and to fear him. So that is one of a very great virtue which we carried on. We learned from our father, from our parents. My mother is also very God-fearing, and she has given herself to the service of God in the church leadership, and those are some of the things we learned as a family, and we have kept to that up to date.
So family is important.
Family is very important, and the background upbringing of the children, especially at the young age and at teenage age. And that time my mother is a no-nonsense woman, because for us on a Sunday morning, it was not a choice whether to go to Sunday school or not.
You just had to.
There was no option. You had
to.
You had to.
Okay, now
Then we became very active in the church. I remember my younger brother used to perform so well in memory verses. We used to have a family choir. And so being brought up in
there was a family choir.
Yes, we had.
Wow.
Yes, even to date, we can sing so many Kikuyu hymns.
Oh, really?
Yes,
like
from Nyembo Shiako Iniragai, we can sing so many together with my brothers and sisters.
And you were telling me that you usually have this annual Thanksgiving ceremony.
We have an annual Thanksgiving ceremony with all our siblings. And now we are all old, we are all married, and we have children. We have, my mother has grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and so we meet at home. We normally have a fellowship. We chew meat together, we slaughter goats, and then we go to church together for Thanksgiving. My mother has taught us that, and we have maintained that all through, and it has been a great tradition, which we also want to carry forward to our children.
I like that. Now let me take you back to you're in Gatogora, you've done your school and all that. How far did your parents, or rather now your mom, take you?
Oh, my mother...
especially since you have 8 siblings.
Oh yes, we were many, and growing up, we knew that my mother had my parents had serious responsibility to bring others up, and we were bright children. We can say generally we were bright, though from a humble beginning, so we could score ourselves good marks. Initially, I didn't make it to get to the university, but deep within me, I knew one day I'll get to the university, and so
You know why I'm laughing? You're saying initially I didn't make it to the university, but you knew you just had to.
I knew I had to. Determination, passion, and I knew I had all that it takes to get me there. Maybe 1 or 2 things happened during my exams, and I missed a mark. So I did up to diploma level. My parents took me up to the diploma level, and I thank God for that. However, that was not the end of my story. I think that was just unlocking, because that unlocked so much for me, because I later on took up a project management course, and then after I finished my postgraduate course in project management, I decided to carry that forward. I went for distance learning, though not distance learning as such, because we used to have courses at Addis Ababa University. It was a tailor-made course for the church in Addis Ababa, which was funded by Tear Fund. We really thank God for the support we have received from Tear Fund as an organization. I will mention my organization later on. Then after that, I went to St. Paul's University, where I studied my master's degree in development studies. And before then, I had taken another course, which was equivalent to a bachelor's course in international management and administration from Plymouth University through Beacon College in the UK.
You know, I was looking at your profile.
Yes.
And there are all these things that you have done.
Yes.
You know, that list is endless. You can mention them. You can mention so many of them.
Yes.
And now you have 2 PhDs.
Yes.
You are taking the last one.
I'm taking my scholarship, I mean my scholarly PhD from St. Paul's University. However, before then, through GAL program, a university in California, I had acquired a PhD through the GAL. The GAL is a global long life learning who provides a professional doctorate degree. I had also done a leadership master's degree with them, although I had done a scholarly master's degree with St. Paul's University. I did that concurrently, and I managed to get both masters at the same time. Yes, amazing. I only acquired the GAL one before I acquired my master's degree at St. Paul's University.
So you started by saying that you did not manage to get marks to go to the university, and you just did a diploma.
Yes.
And now here's this girl who has 2 PhDs. What does it take? How did it all happen for you?
what happens is, one, I had my mentor, my mom, plus many other people I came across along the way, especially in my Christian life, and especially my principal in high school, Karate Girls, Mrs. Jaggi. I owe her a lot of respect.
She was my principal also. Yes.
Mrs. Jaggi came to karate when I was young and energetic. In Form 1, I was a tiny girl, but a Christian. And she spotted me, and she knew that I have the leadership skills in me. And she continued to encourage me, and she said, you have the potential, you can grow it, you can do it, you can move on.
So
she spotted my leadership skills very early. I became a Sunday school teacher, and I used to teach Sunday school. Actually, I taught Mrs. Jaggi's children, Shiro, Joshua, Haron. All of them passed through my hands when I was training them in Sunday school. And I'm very proud of them because I know where they are, all of them, those in the country and those out of the country. So I really thank God for that. When I was graduating in Form 4, Mrs. Jaggi told me, you have a great future. And fortunately, I thank God that I was able to get myself for A-levels in Karate Girls again. So I was in karate for a period of 6 years. So back to Karate Girls for my A-levels. And throughout the A-levels, I can go back a bit and say that since Form 1, I became a leader in Form 1, where I was the secretary to the Christian Union. Then I grew at some point. I was the class prefect of 1P. I went forward. I was, I think in Form 2, I was still a class prefect. But since Form 2, my roles changed because I became a house captain.
So in short,
in Form, towards the end, I became a deputy head girl.
Oh, really? So you've always had that leadership skill.
Yes.
And you're also saying something very important.
Yes.
Mentorship.
Mentorship.
You need someone to mentor you.
You need someone to go along with you, to encourage you on the way. Where you feel like you are growing frail, you need someone to encourage you, to tell you that it is possible, it is doable. And that's why I love mentorship also, because I know that so many young people have the potential in them. All they need is someone to unlock it. And that's, I keep telling them that unless it is unlocked, if somebody did not invest in me, I will not be the way I am today.
Okay, so what I want us to do, I want us to talk about the projects that you are running, especially with ADS. Tell us what ADS is, and when we come back, we'll also talk about career and leadership. So keep it wholesome, woman. I'll be back.
Pillar TV, shaping your destiny.
Thank you for staying with us on Wholesome Woman. Thank you for keeping it Pillar TV, where we shape your destiny. Now, this is one girl who has a destiny that is just great, and she's going to tell us about how you do that, how you have done that, because I know you handle so many projects, especially with ADS. Tell me about joining ADS. How was it for you?
Thank you. I joined ADS again when I was a young girl, just before I got married, and that was in 1991, April, 1st of April. That's how my appointment letter reads. I joined as a field officer, come a deputy coordinator at a station known as Isiolo Development Program. And so I took up the field officer work. I used to ride a motorcycle, Yamaha 175. I even remember the number.
Were you the
number
passenger
plate.
or the rider?
The rider. I can ride, even to date, I can ride a motorcycle.
You know I can give you a challenge.
Yes, I don't mind.
I'll
I
look for boda.
get one and I'll carry you on board and I'll drive you home.
So, Catherine, you're saying it's been 20-something years.
Yes.
joining.
Joining
There
as
was
a
this
young girl.
challenge that
Yes.
you told me. What was the biggest hurdle for you when you joined ADS, sitting in the boardroom?
When I joined ADS, it was good. One, I was this very passionate, very aggressive young lady who has just graduated from college, and she has the qualification that requires for one to handle farmers training, farmers community meetings, and it was good. And as I continued to climb up the randa, it started becoming a challenge. When I realized that in our board and in our most of our meetings, especially that time when I used to attend the station development committees, is that the gender issue was a big issue. Although maybe those people who are there could not see it, but I could feel it right in there.
How many
I started, as a field officer, I was one lady among 7 field officers who are all men. So that's how my challenge began. I remember one day we were going for a trip in Makueni, Kibwezi, to visit the irrigation project. And the men in the bus were saying, we know the person who will come late in the bus. And so that morning I made sure that as the men came into the bus, they all found me in the bus.
Because they were expecting that you'd be late.
So they said that they know the person who will drive them
Is the woman.
Yes, turning clothes in the wardrobe one after
Makeup.
the other, makeups and all that. But I made sure that that morning, as I came into the bus and asking, where is Catherine? I was already seated in the bus.
Amazing.
So that's how my challenges began as early as that time. A young girl, amongst many men.
So that's in the field. How about the boardroom? Because I know there is a major issue in the boardrooms for us women.
I climbed the ladder and I became a member of the board when I was a deputy director. And this was in Nakuru, and at the same time I also came in Mount Kenya and joined the board when I was the director that time. And in the board, again among 18 members of the board, I was the only lady in that board.
Oh no.
And so for me that was a major challenge.
17 against 1.
17 against 1. But I was able to move on, to fight on, not fighting on physically, but bringing in, thank God that time our country was coming up with the two-thirds gender rule. I was able to team up with my seniors, my mentors, like Dr. Agnes Aboam, who was able to come and talk to our board and agreed the need to bring in the two-thirds gender rule in the board. And the board agreed, and it was rolled up in all our 5 dioceses. And the dioceses now have no issues. I know we have, women in leadership, and now we are freely participating and giving our contribution to the leadership and to the growth of these organizations and all our dioceses.
And I know, Catherine, with your position and working with ADS, you had to do a lot of traveling.
Yes, I have.
How was it, especially, when you are a career woman and you have family? I remember there was a story you were telling me, your son was home for the holidays and he didn't feel like he spent time with you.
Yes.
How have you managed to balance that?
Wow. That has also been a challenge, but however, in one way or another, I have managed to balance. Because the whole issue here is balancing. But my balancing did not come easy. How to balance between the family and the career work. Because I want to give targets and I want to meet my targets first before I allocate other targets. But I realized it dawned on me that I needed to balance. I didn't need any preaching, I didn't need anybody to tell me, but it came from the family. And I imagine if my son is feeling that, how much is my husband feeling, how much is the other children feeling. And today I try to have quality time with my children.
So you have to actually make a conscious decision.
Oh yes.
Make plans to be with
conscious
your family.
decision. Because you need them. They need you too. You are still their mother.
And Catherine, talking about decisions, now you are the chair for ADS and you have a whole team. I know it's a big team for it because you're covering the East, the Mount Kenya East region.
Yes.
Tell me about when you have to make decisions that are not so popular. Because I know as a leader, you have to. It happens. How is that for you?
Actually, I'm not the chair. I am the CEO. I'm the executive director of the organization. Mount Kenya East is a large organization. Okay, I can't say huge, but we are many. We have a team of about 200 staff. And many a times the decisions has to be made. You may not be the overall decision maker, but implementation and the dissemination of that information comes from the executive director. So it looks like you are the decision maker and you are really part of that decision. And many a times we've made decisions which are not very palatable to many people. For example, we work a lot with the donor funds. The donor funds come to an end, and you need to lay off some staff. That information is not very good. When you imagine you are laying off a father of children, he has a wife, he has dependents. When you remember the community members who will suffer out there, so it is not very good.
And Catherine, speaking about donor funds, I know that you also need to be self-reliant. Huh?
Yes.
And there was this huge campaign, this huge work that you did where
Yes.
you had to raise 10 million. And I know there's another one coming up. So talk to me about lobbying, advocacy, and fundraising, and mobilizing, and getting all these people. Tell me about that campaign.
Thank you, Vanessa, for that, because I have come to realize that we cannot develop our country with donor funds. As much as we are looking for donor funds, I am a believer of that we have resources, local resources, which we can be able to mobilize and meet the needs of our communities at community level. And that's why I have believed that we have resources. Once in a while we may get a top-up from the external funding, but we have the resources within. And therefore in 2015 we engaged into a fundraise, local resource mobilization strategy, which I first shared the idea with the board, and I asked the board to allow me to give it a trial, because it was looking like it was so difficult to achieve. Having worked with donor funds for this time, now you are saying you can raise 5 million. Actually, initially it was 6 million. The budget was 6.6 million.
And you pushed yourself and said, I want
We will raise 10 million. Yes, that's what we said. And we changed even the messages when we were going around the churches, the schools. We changed the message and said now we had thought of doing a fundraise for 6 million. But we said now, not 6, now it is 10. Because we realized once we do the structure, we shall need to equip it. We shall need beds. We shall need beddings, cabinet.
And how much did you raise?
Oh, we raised 10 million. And at the end of it all, when we were doing our review meeting, we had raised 12 million.
12 million.
12 million.
And this was for the Mount Kenya.
ACK Mount Kenya Hospital.
The hospital.
We were doing a ward. What happened, Vanessa, is that our hospital had experienced congestion. ACK Mount Kenya Hospital is one of the many projects that I coordinate. And therefore, the hospital had experienced lots of congestion. Patients were sharing beds. You find women sharing beds in the maternity, in the female ward, in the pediatric. Those with children, you find the mothers would sit by the bed, and then the children would be put on the bed. And so I looked at the situation and I said, oh my, for how long? And we are here as leaders. We need to challenge ourselves and do something. So I challenged the board, I challenged the staff. Can we step out? Can we step out and do something about this?
Because only when you challenge yourself, and
Yes.
get this, only when you challenge yourself and you push yourself beyond your limits, only then can you achieve amazing things, right?
Yes, we did.
Right.
Yes, we did.
And Catherine, I want us to wrap up, but I want you to tell me about this book that you're reading.
All right.
The 7 sins, the 7 deadly sins.
7 deadly sins
that women
of
commit.
women in leadership.
Leadership.
Yes.
And I know sometimes that women are their own worst enemies, especially
Yes.
in the workplace. So what is it that this book is saying? What are you learning from the book?
This book Vanessa is written by a friend of mine and a mentor. She's a black girl in the UK. She was the first black woman leader in the Baptist church in the UK. And this lady has really challenged me and challenging me and telling me, Catherine, you must step out. You must step out. You have what it takes. And so one time I went to a conference in the UK and I saw her from far. I was in the congregation in the crowd and I saw her seated up there and I looked at her and listened at her. That is before I met her. And I said, wow, what a woman. A black woman amongst all that white old men, elderly men actually, you know, the elderly, the leaders in the UK church. So I looked at her and admired her. So at the end of it all, I was able to reach out and to meet her. Actually, she just spotted me also, because I was also in the crowd, a black girl seated there. She spotted me, and she asked me, what's your name, where do you come from? And she told me, I want to give you a gift. And she gave me a gift of that book.
So you are reading the book? I'm
reading the book. I read a lot. I read so many books on motivational speakers and Christian magazines, and that is part of my inspiration. And I challenge others also to read, and my mentees, I also tell them to read. So this book, one of the things is how women block themselves by limiting themselves. You just limit yourself and you're feeling like, oh, you can't make it, you can't do. You look aloud where you have come from, you just limit yourself and say it is not possible. And so this book is challenging me, it is doable.
It is possible.
It is possible. The other things that women, which is very key, is that women don't want to make enemies. They want to be good because they are called good. They want to be good, and they want to be good to everyone. You can't be good to, and especially if you are a leader, and a leader that makes decisions, you can't be afraid of everyone. You can't be good to everyone.
Very true.
Where things are wrong, just say they are wrong and condemn them and correct the situation and move forward.
So this is a book that you'd advise every woman to
This is
read.
a book that I would advise everyone in the leadership to read, and to you, please come for a copy.
I am going to get it. Now, Catherine, I just want to thank you so much for coming. I know you're a busy girl, but thank you so much for gracing Wholesome Woman.
Thank you too, thank you everyone, thank you my family. I must say thank you to you, Vanessa, for giving me this opportunity. I want to thank my husband, whom we shared this morning that I was coming to this show. I really want to thank him for the continuous support. He has really been very, very supportive to my children.
Systems.
Very supportive. My children are very supportive. They are now grown-ups. They are all over 18. I thank you all. I thank you, my mom. I thank you, my colleagues, and the ADS fraternity. Thank you, everyone. God bless you and wish you well.
Thank you, Catherine. And you have heard from her that it's a world of possibilities. And until next time, keep it Pillar TV. I have been your host, Vanessa Michere, for Wholesome Woman.
Oh, 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 oh. Some trust in chariots,